Good morning, afternoon or evening, ladies and gentlemen, Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another jam-packed daily market update with yours truly. Yesterday, we dropped a bombshell in the form of what an advisor to Vladimir Putin had to say on the United States' crypto agenda and how they're ultimately looking to do a similar thing to what took place with Bretton Woods in the 1930s, obviously post-war, or with the Nixon shock where they took us off of a gold standard. They're looking to fundamentally change the kind of backstop asset or to morph the system into a new one like they had done on those two previous occasions, and they're going to use crypto to do it. The plan that he kind of laid out was that they're going to get everybody kind of dollarized, i.e. leveraged on how those stablecoin dollars are backed, the debt, and then devalue it so that everybody has to kind of accept it. Similar to what happened with the Nixon shock. The reason there wasn't much pushback with the Nixon shock was because if people didn't kind of unilaterally agree on this new system and the dollar system that we have today, the fiat-based system that we have today, it would have caused catastrophe and complete and utter economic collapse due to the actual currency essentially being worthless because the gold was never there to back it in the first place. So, where I want to start this one off, and this is one reason we're so bullish on crypto because we know it's the agenda, but where I want to start this one off is actually looking at a paper that was published by the Ural Federal University. This is the largest university in Russia. And essentially the title of this says, Foreign and Russian Experience of Blockchain Digitization by Central Banks, Financial and Technology Companies. Now, did you guys know that the Central Bank of Russia has actually piloted Ripple and specifically XRP in the use case that it was designed to do? I want to explore that first because and I've spoken about these concepts with many people, including Rob Allen, who works with the Australian Central Bank. He's a good friend of the channel on Project Acacia, where the Bank of Australia is looking to leverage distributed ledger technology. Every nation, every central bank, every company, every business is going to have to leverage this technology in the future just to stay relevant. And a country right now faces a major external threat in the form of stablecoins, certainly US dollar stablecoins. And their very monetary sovereignty is at jeopardy, which means that they are going to have to go and adopt or create their own distributed ledgers. And many of them are already exploring, like the Bank of Russia, the likes of Ripple and some of the other players out there. So this was interesting. The abstract is, one of the main reasons for closer attention to blockchain technology on the financial market players' part is the expectation that it will eliminate many of the problems and restrictions inherent in the current used method of storage, processing, and exchange of financial information. In this vein, central banks of many countries do not stand aside and actively participate in research and development of practical solution based on blockchain technology in order to expand the payment space, provide the necessary conditions for sustainable growth of the financial sector, and increase its level of information security. With reference to payment services, blockchain technology has a high potential for the use in national and international payment systems due to a lack of technological restrictions on the instantaneous presentation of information in the nodes, registers, and the possibility to eliminate financial intermediaries. Payments in such systems can be made in a close to real-time mode. The use of blockchain technology in payment infrastructure provides a number of advantages, including in terms of increasing the uninterrupted operations of efficiency of payments processing and systems. Talks about the introduction. Throughout this paper, it mentions a number of people are actually piloting this, and we've got a lot to cover in this daily market update. So what I want to kind of go to, you can talk about the BOJ, the Bank of Japan, the ECB, the LSM. You know, it talks about a whole variety of things. SWIFT systems, obviously. Along with that, SWIFT also began testing the feasibility of using blockchain technology. So this came out a fair few years ago. But really what's interesting to me, it talks about Deutsche Bank, their stock exchange, the German Deutsche Bank has joined the Interbank Information Network based on Quorum platform. It talks about a number of things, obviously highlighting Swift. The interesting thing for me is the fact that it kind of highlights, remember, this is the largest university written by one of the most prestigious professors in Russia. It actually highlights that in the first half of 2018, the Bank of Russia's innovative laboratory conducted research on testing the possibilities of cross-border settlements using the Ripple platform. The system technology assumed that the settlement participants had special accounts opened in the national payment system and addresses in the Ripple network. Reflection of operations in national payment systems could be performed both after each transaction and at the end of the trading day or at certain intervals. Based on the research results, it was concluded that the Ripple platform can be considered as the basis for starting work on creating a system of cross-border settlements, provided that the following organizational, legal, and technical issues are resolved. Use for XRP transfers or equivalent of fiat currencies issued by each participant, the national bank. Determination of mechanisms for reconciling balances between the accounts of Ripple participants and the national payment system. Use of embedded cryptography solutions on the Ripple network. Development of a procedure for determining cross rates for the internal currency of Ripple XRP when deciding to use XRP in interstate settlements, maintaining correspondence directories between the address of the accounts of Ripple networks participants and the accounts of the banks they serve in national payments. In case of using fiat currency equivalent and cross-border transferred, it is necessary to take into account source of information, the impact of organizational markets, so on and so forth. So this is extremely interesting, right? And this is back to my point. It's not just the United States that are going to adopt this technology. It's the world as a whole. Obviously, the leader of, quote unquote, the free world it is going to be a real leader in this. And Paolo from Tether tweeted this, 0 to 1. It's obviously the name of Thiel's book also. We're a big fan of Thiel from a technological investor point of view. We think he's a walking contradiction like everybody else does because he kind of makes himself that. But this is where we're going. We're going from not using this technology to using it. But there's a whole host of other things going on. So I wanted to show you that. That was a report that very clearly demonstrates that the actual National Bank of Russia have also been exploring distributed ledger technology, and actually Ripple specifically. And that was reported by the largest university, which is very interesting. They're not going to get that kind of information wrong. A lot going on. Where to even start? Well, let's start off with this stock called Eightco Holdings. Now, these guys recently just announced that they were going to become a world coin, which is that thing that scans your iris, created by Sam Altman. He's on the board of Stellar, by the way. Interesting link there. Stellar obviously came out of OpenCoin, OpenAI, OpenCoin. They're all funded by the same people. But Eightco Holdings announced a world coin treasury company. I believe this is the sort of breaking news. OCTO, which is the ticker for the stock, soars 1,330% on $270 million financing and WorldCoin's treasury adoption. Shares of Eightco Holdings, OCTO, on the Nasdaq, soared more than 1,338% at opening trade on Monday after the company unveiled a $270 million financing and announcement it would adopt WorldCoin as its primary treasury reserve asset. The move, which includes a $250 million private placement and a $20 million strategic investment from Bitmine Emerging Technologies. Guys, become a Patreon. You'll find out what treasury companies we're buying, and we're going to do well on them, I believe. There's a few. There's one that we've got in there that I've not seen even a video on, and I think it's got every reason to do well. But Bitmine is a kind of pick of ours, and we believe that's going towards the $900 range. Anyway, positioned the firm at the intersection of cryptocurrencies, identity verification, and artificial intelligence. Eightco said it priced 171 million shares at $1.46 per share for the proceeds of about $250 million. The company also issued 13.7 million shares to Bitmine at the same time, generating $20 million. Today, so the price of these was $1.47. Today, these shares, pre-market opening, are worth $45. So you're talking about a 31x. And at one point, I was going to be interested to see how Bitmine opens today. It was a 55x, literally overnight. This might have been a record-breaking stock, I think, for the Nasdaq in terms of its movement. And you're going to see more of this. These effectively dead companies that now merge or get acquiesced to become sort of treasury holding companies. I'm tempted to do it here in the UK, to be honest, because we don't have treasury companies here in the UK. If you're an individual that thinks you might have the capabilities to do so, put your name forward with me. I've been looking into it. You know, there are publicly listed companies here in the UK that if I can get the right funds for and the right team, because a team is probably the most important thing around me to do, it wouldn't be impossible. And I think I'd go after or create a treasury company based on Stellar Lumens and a few other of the plays that I've got, like Ripple perhaps or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. We're considering it. I don't know if there's anybody out there that's interested. But Bitmine, this is from Tom Lee. We think Bitmine does well. This is correct. BMNR purchased 13.7 million shares of OTC at $1.40, or 20 million in total as part of Bitmine's Moonshoot strategy. The direct benefits Bitmine shareholders, of which I'm one, as this investment is currently worth 1.1 billion to Bitmine shareholders. Congrats. Wow. Interesting to see how this opens. Get on the train with me, guys. If you want to find out what I'm buying, become part of the community. This should be up more than it is, I think. We've got a few other treasury companies that we're looking into. So interesting news. It really, the broader context is you might not be interested in the strategy companies, but MicroStrategy actually made Bitcoin deflationary if you minus its supply. These companies are going to do the same for the underlying assets that they create treasuries around. On top of that, you've got so many catalysts coming, like ETFs around the corner, retail FOMO, real world usage and adoption. It's never been a better time to be in the crypto space. I truly, honestly, hand on heart, guys, believe that. Some interesting news coming out of the Nasdaq. Nasdaq weighs SEC filing to allow tokenized securities. The interesting news, and we're running out of time here a little bit, is that this is from Milk Road. Gemini, which raised as much as $317 million in the initial public offering, has already lined up the Nasdaq to buy $50 million worth of shares. Interesting. Why is the Nasdaq buying shares in Gemini? Well, we know what their ultimate plan is. And this is the way that the world is going. This is from DTCC. I've not shared this with you guys. But they're going to end their old ways of doing things by 2027. You can see here it's got ISO messaging input, where there's a direct correlation with crypto. This is happening Q1. PC, this is all happening in Q1 next year. You're going to see a very quick acquisition over to tokenization, and they're discommissioning interfaces for their old systems at the end of 2027. That's when everything will be brought over. As far as the crypto markets are concerned, hang on, guys. Pullbacks are part of markets. It amazes me that every pullback we've had since we got into the markets here, literally down here, people have been calling for doomsday, and we're saying, I think you've had your doomsday as far as the stock market's concerned in terms of the Trump tariffs. I think that was your bear market. You've now got a bull ahead of you, and I think that's good for risk generally. And we've got a lot of things that give us confluence in regards to that. Ladies and gents, that's it from me. I'm going to love and leave you all. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you all in the next one.